Welcome on board, Chosen One. Look who finally showed up. You walked in here carrying something and you already know it. Not excitement, not pride, something quieter and heavier than both. A kind of stillness that sits behind your eyes and refuses to leave. You have been moving through your days with this low, persistent hum underneath everything, like a frequency only you can detect. And the strange part is, the calmer you get, the louder things seem to get around you. People around you are louder. Reactions around you are bigger. Tension you did not start keeps landing at your feet. You feel it in rooms when you walk in. You feel it in silences that stretch a half second too long. You feel it in the way certain eyes slide away from yours just a little too fast. That is not coincidence. That is not paranoia. That is the signature of a power they cannot name and cannot control, and it is yours. They said you were nothing. Let's be precise about that. They did not whisper it. They announced it. They put a label on you and handed it around like a fact. Too quiet, too slow, too soft, not the type, not the kind, not the one. They watched you absorb, too soft, not the one. They watched you absorb one hit after another and decided that the silence meant you were broken. They confused your restraint for weakness, your patience for surrender, your stillness for defeat. Some of them laughed. Some of them placed their bets openly. Some of them leaned back in their chairs with that particular expression, the one that says, "All the legend needs to bow." They were so certain. They were so loud about their certainty, and yet here you are. Still standing, still breathing, still moving. The ones who wrote you off are now watching you with something that does not look like confidence anymore. Something changed. Not loudly. It never is. There was no announcement, no dramatic turn, no visible moment where the scales tipped. But the universe had other plans that were already in motion long before any of them started talking. That shift happened inside you first. The moment you stopped reacting on command, the moment you refused to perform your pain for people who would use it against you, that was the moment a different kind of force began working through you. The universe does not reward noise. It does not reward desperation or the need to prove yourself in real time. It rewards precision. It rewards the person who stays composed while the pressure builds, because that person is the one it has been preparing all along. And the preparation was never going to look comfortable. It was never supposed to. Before we go any deeper into this, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. Not as a ritual, not as a habit, as a way of paying this message back into the universe. This transmission found you for a reason. Acknowledging it is how you confirm the signal. That is your entrance fee for this briefing, and it cost you nothing but intention. Now, back to the truth. What really happened is not what it looked like on the surface, and that is exactly the point. What looks like luck to the people watching you is something they were never equipped to recognize. Luck is random. What you carry is not. The power that has been moving through your life, through your choices, through your silence, through your refusal to collapse under pressure, that power has been surgical. It has been calculated by something larger than circumstance. This is not just a video. This is a blueprint. This is the truth they hoped you would never uncover, because once you understand the mechanics of what just happened, why they lost control, why their reactions became so outsized, why the energy around you has been shifting at a pace that is making certain people genuinely uncomfortable, you will never hand your power away again. Not to doubt, not to urgency, not to anyone who benefits from you staying small and reactive and easy to predict. Drop 777 in the comments right now. Not a superstition. As a signal to the universe that you are locked in, that you receive the transmission, that you are the kind of person who finishes what they start, especially when what they are starting matters. If you are truly one of the chosen ones, you already feel that pull to stay exactly where you are until the final word of this video. That pull is accurate. Trust it. We are about to break this down step by step, the hidden reaction, the pressure beneath it, and the precise advantage you hold right now because of how you chose to move. Let's begin. They couldn't beat you, so they tried to redefine you. Think of a sword wrapped in cloth. Anyone who has never held a real blade will look at that bundle and see fabric. They will assess the weight of it incorrectly. They will pick it up the wrong way. They will feel no edge and conclude there is none. That is exactly what happened to you inside every room where they made their assessments, every conversation where they handed out their verdicts, every circle where they decided who you were before you had spoken a word. They saw the cloth. They catalogued the cloth. They built their entire strategy around the cloth. And you let them. Not because you were helpless, because you understood something they did not. That the moment you reveal a blade prematurely, you lose the only advantage that matters, their underestimation of you. Here is what underestimation actually is, stripped of the sting it used to carry. It is not an insult, it is a resource. The person who has been dismissed is the freest person in any room, because no one is guarding against them. No one is countering their moves before they make them. No one is preparing a defense, because no one believes an attack is possible. You were not at a disadvantage when they wrote you off. You were being handed a blank check drawn on their ignorance, and the universe was watching to see what you would do with it. You might wonder why this particular kind of intelligence, the quiet, composed, unreadable kind, provokes such a strong reaction in people. Why does your calm make someone else's pulse rise? The answer is simple and unsettling. People who operate on noise and reaction use noise and reaction to read others. When you remove that signal, they have no data. They cannot predict you, and a person they cannot predict is a person they cannot control. Your silence was never submission. Your silence was a system they had no access to. Silence is not the absence of power. It is the sound of power that has chosen not to announce itself yet. Every time you absorbed a verdict without defending yourself, every time you stayed composed when they expected you to unravel, every time you moved without asking for permission or applause, you were building something they could not see and could not dismantle. And now, they feel it. They just cannot name it. That is your first and oldest advantage, and it has been working for longer than you realize. Stillness is not inaction. It is the most disciplined form of strategy there is. Picture this, a storm cloud that never breaks. It sits overhead, full and dark and entirely contained, and there is something about its refusal to release that is more unsettling than any rainfall could be. People can handle rain. They know what rain does. They know where it goes and how long it lasts and how to move around it. But a storm cloud that simply holds, that waits without any visible deadline, that does something different to the people beneath it. It makes them watch the sky constantly. It makes them second-guess their plans. It makes them alter their behavior not because anything has happened, but because something might. That is what your stillness has been doing to the people who underestimated you. Not one action required, not one word spoken in anger, just presence, just patience, just the unmistakable weight of something that has not moved yet. The greatest misunderstanding about quiet people is that their quiet is comfortable. It is not. It is calibrated. There is a profound difference between someone who is silent because they have nothing to say, and someone who is silent because they have nothing to say, and someone who is silent because they have already calculated the optimal moment to speak and determined that moment has not yet arrived. The first kind of silence is empty. The second kind of silence is loaded. Yours has always been the second kind, even in the periods when you doubted it yourself. You might ask yourself why stillness feels so threatening to people who are used to noise. Think of it this way. In a room full of people reacting, the one person who is not reacting draws every eye. Not because they are performing calm, because they are living inside a frequency the room cannot access. They become the unknown variable. And unknown variables are the only ones that can change the outcome of any equation at the last possible moment. Reaction is readable. Composure is a closed book. The universe does not move on the schedule of the loudest voice in the room. It moves on the schedule of the most rooted one. And root systems are never visible. They are underground, silent, expanding without announcement, reaching depths that the surface-level observer has no framework for measuring. You have been growing your root system through every season of pressure they put you through, every dismissal, every season of being overlooked, every period of silence that they mistook for withdrawal. You were not withdrawing, you were going deeper. They brought noise to a silence match, and now that distinction is starting to show. Their reaction told you everything. Your silence just gave you time to read it. Imagine this. A chess player who has been watching their opponent for 20 moves without making a single visible mistake suddenly knocks over a piece unprompted. Not because they were outplayed, but because they caught a glimpse of what was coming and panicked. That is a reveal. That is a confession made without words. The panic is the data, and you, without saying a single thing, without adjusting a single move, caused that reaction simply by continuing to move the way you move. Think about what that means. They exposed the shape of their fear by trying to contain something they thought was already under control. Here is what has been happening in the background of your life. In the rooms you have not been invited into, in the conversations you were not supposed to know were happening. People who dismissed you have started monitoring you, not casually, carefully, because something in the energy shifted and they felt it before they could explain it. And now they are trying to reverse engineer an outcome they did not see coming. They are asking questions about you. They are recalculating. They are having private conversations that begin with, "Did you notice?" And that observation alone, that you have become the subject of noticing, means something fundamental has changed in your position. You might wonder if the monitoring means something is wrong, if the attention means danger. The answer is the opposite. The moment someone who ignored you starts watching you, you have crossed a threshold. You will become a force they need to account for. Irrelevance does not get monitored. Potential threats do. Power does. The version of you they wrote off did not require their surveillance. The version of you they are watching now is the one that began to confirm what the universe already knew. Panic is a confession. Monitoring is an admission. Regret is a receipt. Every outsized reaction they have shown, every moment of cold where there used to be warmth, every sudden over-explanation, every look that lasted a fraction of a second too long, those are not random social signals. Those are the precise markers of people adjusting to a reality they did not budget for. They planned for a version of you that stayed exactly where they placed you. You did not stay, and the recalibration that is happening in them right now, the quiet scramble to reassess, that is the first visible evidence of a victory that has been building underground for a long time. They could not control the outcome because they misread the variable. That variable is you. You were never behind. You were being positioned. Think of an iceberg. Not the surface fraction that everyone photographs and maps and builds their navigation around, but the 8/9 that sits below the waterline, unhurried and absolute, doing none of the work of being seen and all of the work of being immovable. The ships that have moved around your life, the people who charted their courses based on what they could observe at the surface, they were always navigating around an incomplete picture. The part of you they could not see was always larger than the part they measured. And the universe has been building depth in you during every season that looked, from the outside, like you were going nowhere. There is a timing mechanism inside every significant shift, and it is never on the schedule that the impatient observer would design. The universe does not move early. It does not move to satisfy an audience. It moves when the conditions are precise enough to make the movement irreversible. That is the difference between a shift that holds and a shift that collapses under the first real pressure. You have been waiting, sometimes painfully, sometimes in the silence so heavy it had its own gravity, not because nothing was happening, but because the construction was not finished. You do not open a building before the foundation is set. The universe does not hand you your moment before you are the person who can sustain it. You might wonder whether the timing was always this deliberate, or whether you are reading meaning into coincidence. Consider the specificity of what has happened. The right pieces moved at the right moments. The people who needed to overplay their hand did so at the exact interval when you were composed enough to let them. The opportunities that arrived were calibrated to your current capacity, not your past limitations. Coincidence does not operate with that level of precision. Precision has a source, and that source has been working on your behalf since before any of this became visible. Timing is not delay, it is engineering. The universe does not owe anyone a spectacle, it delivers outcomes. And the outcomes it has been engineering around your life have been moving with the quiet inevitability of a river carving its path through stone. Not because the river is in a hurry, but because the river does not stop. Pressure plus patience plus direction equals geography. The stone does not negotiate with the water simply continues. You are the water. The obstacles were always going to be the stone, and stone, no matter how solid it looked when they first placed it in your way, was always going to move. They tried every handle and found none. That was never an accident. Picture this: a prism placed in a beam of ordinary light. What enters as one thing exits as every color it was always made of, separated, clarified, irrefutable. Pressure did not break you. It broke your light into its true components. And now everything that you are, the discipline, the refusal to collapse on command, and now everything that you are, the discipline, the refusal to collapse on command, is visible at frequencies they never anticipated. The person who could not be bent by urgency, who would not perform distress for an audience that would have weaponized it, who kept moving in quiet certainty while others placed their bets. That person is not the result of circumstances. That person was always what you were. The pressure just made it undeniable. Here is the thing about people who try to break someone through sustained pressure. They have a window. The window is the period before that person discovers that the breaking process is not working. Once that window closes, the entire strategy collapses, because there is nothing more disorienting to a force designed to create surrender than encountering something that simply will not surrender. Not out of stubbornness, not out of pride, out of a fundamental incompatibility with the concept of being redirected by someone else's agenda. You were not unbreakable because you were trying to be. You were unbreakable because you were built for something they were not equipped to understand. You might wonder why they kept trying after the early signals that it was not working. Because the alternative, admitting they had miscalculated, was not something their position could absorb. So they escalated. They tried harder with the same tools that were already failing. And every escalation gave you more information. Every new attempt was a map of their desperation handed to you without cost. Ungovernable is not a rebellion. It is a nature. The universe does not invest preparation in someone it intends to see redirected. The whole architecture of what you have been through, the specific pressures, the particular people, the precise moments of isolation, all of it was a selection process. A forge does not heat metal randomly. It heats metal to the exact temperature required to create something that will hold its shape under conditions that would unmake anything softer. You were in the forge. You held your shape. And the thing that has come out the other side is not a person who survived pressure. It is a person who was transformed by it into something that pressure can no longer reach. They could not buy you because you already knew the price would be yourself, and that was never on the table. The window they needed had closed while they were still debating whether to open it. Imagine this: a shot that has already been deflected. No one standing downrange knows it yet. The person who fired is watching the trajectory shift and realizing with a very particular kind of cold clarity that the calculation they were so certain about was wrong from the beginning. The target is still moving. The target was never where they aimed. And there is nothing left to do but watch the outcome arrive, that they had genuinely believed they had prevented. That is the position of everyone who bet against you right now. The shot has already been fired. The deflection has already happened. They are just processing the information with a delay that you do not share. What does it look like when someone realizes too late? It looks like overcompensation, sudden warmth where there was coldness, sudden interest where there was dismissal, sudden availability from people who were previously occupied. You have felt the temperature shift. You have noticed the recalibrations arriving in forms they think are subtle, but are, to someone paying the kind of attention you pay, entirely legible. These are not coincidences. These are corrections. The scramble of people trying to adjust their position relative to yours without admitting that they were ever in the wrong position to begin with. You might wonder whether to acknowledge the shift or to let it pass without comment. Let it pass. Not out of cruelty, out of understanding that their recalibration does not require your assistance and does not deserve your energy. The universe does not need you to perform forgiveness or manufacture a dramatic moment of confrontation. It needs you to keep moving at the pace it is already calibrated for you. The acknowledgement they need is not yours to give. The reckoning is already in motion, and it operates independently of your participation. Too late is not a moment of drama. It is a quiet door that has already closed. The most powerful version of victory is the one that does not need to announce itself, because the shift in gravity makes it evident to everyone in the room. You do not need to tell anyone what happened. The energy tells them. The results tell them. The way certain people now move around you, carefully, with a respect that was not present before, that tells them you've crossed the threshold from person they overlooked to force they need to account for. And the crossing happened so cleanly, so precisely, so entirely without theatrics, that they cannot even point to the moment it occurred. That is the signature of a move made by someone working at a level beyond the visible field. They planned for a different ending. They got you instead. This was never a comeback. It was an arrival that was always scheduled. Think of a seed that has been underground through winter, through drought, through every condition that a surface-level observer would use as evidence that nothing is coming. The soil shows nothing. The calendar shows nothing. The patience required to believe in something with no visible confirmation is the patience that separates the ones who arrive from the ones who abandon the process 2 seasons before the break. You stayed in the ground when staying felt like disappearing. You held the direction when holding felt like losing. And now the thing that was always in you, not placed there by luck, not borrowed from anyone's approval, not contingent on any outcome you were chasing, is breaking through. And it is breaking through in the way that things that were always real break through, completely without apology, without the need to explain the delay to anyone who was not paying the right kind of attention. Here is the truth about where you stand right now, stated without decoration. You are not at the beginning of something. You are at the recognition point of something that has been underway for longer than the people around you have been watching. The version of you that exists in this moment, composed, rooted, precise, impossible to redirect, did not appear recently. It was forged in every season they thought they were using to diminish you. Every period of pressure was a refinement. Every dismissal was a calibration. Every moment of being underestimated was the universe ensuring that no one would be able to claim credit for what you are becoming except the only force that actually built it. You might wonder what to do with this, with the recognition, with the shift, with the energy that is now moving in your direction at a pace that is starting to feel undeniable. The answer is the same answer it has always been. You continue, not louder, not faster, not with the urgency of someone who needs to prove the narrative right before an audience that might change its mind. You continue at the frequency you have always carried, the one that makes rooms adjust when you enter, the one that makes certain eyes slide away, the one that hums beneath everything like a signal only the right receivers can detect. The universe did not prepare you this carefully to have you stumble at the moment of arrival. You are not lucky, you never were. Luck is available to everyone. What moved through your life was specific. What operated through your silence was surgical. What carried you through every season of being written off was a precision that no outside force can manufacture and no enemy can dismantle, because it does not live in your circumstances. It lives in what you are, and what you are is now operating in full view of everyone who once believed they had the final word on your story. They did not have the final word. They never did. The universe was always the author of this chapter. And the chapter it is writing for you right now is the one they are going to spend a long time trying to explain. You are not becoming something. You are finally being seen for what you always were. And now we close this. Not loudly, not emotionally, calmly, completely. You were never an exception. You were an outcome. The preparation was always going to produce this. The seasons of pressure were always going to yield this. The silence was always going to speak at exactly this volume, in exactly this moment, to exactly the people who needed to hear it without being able to argue with it. This is not the end of something. This is the first clear breath after a long and necessary construction. But what the universe revealed to you tonight was only the first seal. Pinned beneath this video, there is a deeper path waiting for you. Not a book, not a course, not a document. It is a living blueprint that listens to you before it speaks. Before it opens, you will answer a few quiet questions only a chosen one could answer truthfully. And what you receive is shaped, sealed, and breathing only for the soul you are right now. No two chosen ones receive the same path. Yours is already being prepared as you breathe. Tap the pinned comment. The universe is waiting on the other side. If this met you where you are, drop a simple yes in the comments. Share it with someone the universe sent you to reach. If this hit where it was supposed to hit, lock it in.